Thanks for having me. It's really cool to be here talking about Shifters. Shifters is a love story. It's a love story in the truest sense of the word. It's tender and it's playful and it's all of the things that we love about love, but at its heart and at its core, it's a story about healing and it's a story about connection. And it's the story about these two characters called Des and Dre, who we meet when they're 32, who are kind of brought back in each other's orbit after 8 years apart. And throughout the course of the play, you basically find out about the journey of their relationship, and the play shifts in and out of time and space and feeling, and is kind of dream-like in a sense. That's a huge kind of like motif, I think, in the play and in our production. And it's a play that invites you to fall in love with these two characters as you watch them falling in love with each other. Um, it's it's a really beautiful experience to kind of be in that audience, because I think I've never personally felt that way when I've been in a theatre, to kind of feel the reactions to every part of these two characters' journeys. People were gasping and shouting out at moments and revelations, because the play kind of like twists and turns and takes you to places and like leads you, like kind of like feeds you little bits here and there and drops information, because it's kind of all about piecing together their lives together and apart. And I think we had and have incredible creative team, starting with Lynette Linton, the director of the play. I think what she's done with our production is just magic, and that's kind of what I wanted. I think one of the first conversations I had with her was, I want it to feel like a dream. And if you've seen Shifters, I think you would agree it feels like a dream. Our incredible creative team, the lighting by Neil Austin, the set by Alex Berry, the composition by Zana, who's incredible, Tony Gale, who did our sound, like these theatre giants who just kind of responded to the play, and we were honored to get to work with them. And that's before I've even mentioned our two extraordinary actors, Tosin and Heather, and the beautiful electric chemistry that they have, and their ability to create that intimacy with each other and with an audience, and to have like an audience literally on the edge of their seat for a love story. Like it was just, yeah, it was a whole moment. And so it's really exciting to be back. People have been asking us literally every day, when is Shifters coming back? Please bring Shifters back. When can I see it? They've been selling out the playtext. They sold out the show. There were like lines around the block to get into the show. And so it's really exciting for us to be in the space where we get to come back, where we get to talk about the show, where we get to introduce it to the West End and introduce it to people who have been waiting to see the show, reintroduce it to the people who've seen the show and wanted to come again and couldn't because it was sold out. So yeah, it's an exciting moment. It's exciting. It's an exciting time, and yeah, we're honored to get this opportunity, and we will make the most of it.
Lots of people that haven't seen the show will now have the opportunity to see it, which is really great. And actually, I was going to ask you, what would you like your audiences, especially the new audiences, to get from watching Shifters?
I mean, I think that what's been really interesting for me as a writer in this process is experiencing other people uncovering the play, and starting with our immediate creative team, the actors and our director. There was a moment that I came into rehearsals and they had been working on the script, and I came in and they were like, we feel like you've tricked us, because we thought this was a love story, but as we're kind of delving deeper into this, we're seeing that it's so much more than that. It's a story about life, and it's a story about family, and it's a story about healing and connection and loss and grief and joy and being seen, and the power that has, and the fear that you need to fight against each time you're presented with the possibility that you could be seen in your fullness. And I think, it was really beautiful for me to see other people uncovering just all of the layers of the play. And so, in answer to your question, what do I want audiences to feel, to take away from it? I want them to feel seen. And I think there is something so beautiful about a story that is very specific in its identity, very specific in its genre, right? It's a love story. It's an unrepentingly romantic story. It's a Black British story. These two characters are British Congolese and British Nigerian. We're shifting the canon on who gets to be recognized as a romantic lead. And at the end of the day, we're going, the show is for everybody. And if you have ever loved, known what it is to be loved, this show is for you. Mm-hmm. If you haven't known what it is to be loved, this show is for you. If you're alive and you are a human being, this show is for you. So yeah, I think that's what I want people to take away from it. I want them to feel seen, and I want them to feel invited to fall in love with our characters as they fall in love with each other.
If you had to give either Des or Dre, because they both go through so many decision making that they have to do, if you had to give either one of them a piece of advice that might change the path of the play, what would it be and why?
My immediate non-serious answer to that, which is probably also kind of a serious answer, is go to therapy. We all need therapy. We all have things to work out. I think in my kind of adult state, I think that so many things can be resolved if we're honest. It's that simple, and it is so difficult to be honest about how we feel just as human beings. Even now, like at our big ages, like we're not. I mean, human beings are not really conditioned to be vulnerable with each other in that way. And so I think, let alone teenagers and young adults, and I think that's the kind of the magic of the show is you completely understand where both of these characters are coming from. Each time they kind of are just about to make it work, and something happens that gets in the way of that. You completely understand both of their sort of like mental and emotional states as a result of their experiences, because that's one thing that this play and the show does, is we say you don't show up in a relationship as a blank slate. You show up with baggage. You show up with the experiences that have shaped who you are as a human being. And this play shows that. It shows that in kind of like intricate detail. It's really tender, and there's a lot of care. And one adjective I really love hearing people call the show was kind. They called it kind. And I think there's something kind of like quietly radical about that, particularly with two dark-skinned Black British leads in the front seat of this story.
I agree. It's a rarity to see two young Black couples or two young actors in love and go through their relationship on stage. You just don't see it at all. It's such a beautiful thing to see. Both Tosin and Heather are perfect as Des and Dre, but did you have any creative decisions with the play in regards to casting?
Me as a writer, for sure. That was that was a no-brainer, because you know exactly who these characters should be. Like you create them, and you write the chemistry, and you write the intimacy, and you write the connection but if you don't have the actors that show that and elevate that, then it's not going to bang, or it's not going to bang in the same way. And so, yeah, it was really important for me to be a part of that casting process. And Heather and Tosin just made sense. They just made sense. Just seeing them together and seeing the spark that they had that we hadn't quite seen in like other combinations. And then Lynette working with them in rehearsals, and us all being in rehearsals together, and getting to that point where they like fully understood these characters, and it felt almost like seamless in a way, because that's what we kind of want to aspire to. We want to aspire to it just feeling so natural and so organic. And yeah, and they're just electric together. And I think, and I feel like the audiences really felt that. They really believe in them, like individually and together. And a lot of that is down to something that you just can't fake, and you just have. And they have that in spades. So we're really lucky and really proud to have the two of them as our Des and Dre, to be going to the West End with the same Des and Dre, so that the people who saw it and loved it, or didn't see it and wanted to, and heard about, you know, this electric chemistry between these two, get to experience it again on a much bigger scale. So that's really, really, really exciting.
It is, because when I heard that it was going to the West End, I thought, I hope it's the same. I hope it's Heather and Tosin again, because you can't kind of replace it at all. They're so good together.
Yeah.
They're perfect. Yeah. They're absolutely perfect. I'm going to ask you if you could, in 3 words, describe Shifters.
Oh, Christina, that's too hard. 3 words? I mean, okay, I'm gonna go for 4. Wait.
Okay.
Or 5. I'm gonna go for some words. I would say Shifters is funny, tender, unrepentantly romantic show.
No,
that's kind perfect. Of 3.
It is. That's
really 3 if you think about it.
It is perfect 3. And my last question for you is, why should audience members come and watch Shifters?
I think if you are alive as a human being, and if you've known love, or if you haven't known love, but you've known the absence of love, I think that this show is for everybody who has had any kind of experience with love. Yes, it's a love story, but we're looking at love in all of its different hues. We're looking at friendship, we're looking at family love, we're looking at different aspects of love and connection, and how we navigate that at the different stages of our lives. I think it's nostalgic in all of the best ways. I think it's endearing. I think it's warm, and it's intimate, and I think ultimately it's human. It's very, very human. And I think Shifters is an experience that I think, and I hope, brings us back to our humanity. And it's happening in the summer, and I don't know what better thing to do than go and see a love story in the West End in the summer.
I totally agree. To be honest with you, Shifters has been one of the best things I've seen in such a long time. I will be raving on about it. It's so good, written so beautifully, and I agree, everyone should watch it. Benedict, thank you for talking to me. It was a pleasure. And yeah, I can't wait to watch it again at the West End. It's going to be great.
Thank you, Christina. Yes, please come. Tell your friends. Pull up, please.
Exactly.